Look at this fucking loser. Oh my god.
Hey guys, happy Thursday. You know exactly what that means. Tomorrow we're loading up the 240 on the trailer and headed to Knoxville on Saturday. So there'll be plenty of coverage of that, but right now we're headed to the shop to meet Devin. We got a lot of work to do on the diesel Mercedes. As far as the tan one goes, we're gonna update you on that when we get there. Let's head over to the shop. See ya. We are back in the shop. The air compressor is running. It is very loud. Here's the tan Mercedes, and here is the diesel. Yes, this engine bay looks much different than the 5-liter. So let's talk about this car a little bit more and the tan car. So we're putting together the diesel. You want to give these guys a little bit of a rundown on what you've done so far?
So really all that I've done so far is we did a total inspection of the vehicle. We got it up in the air, checked everything out. It's got an oil pan leak, trans pan leak. Some tie rod ends are not doing so hot. Actually, the whole tie rods are not doing well. The battery had 2 volts. We jumped it to another battery that had lower cold cranking action, lower voltage, and it didn't want to start still. So we put this on the trickle charger all night, and now we're hoping that it will start.
As you guys know, it is also Thursday, which means it is Snap-on day. The Snap-on man is coming. We'll see all the new tools, and maybe we'll get some cool stuff. We'll see what he has for us this week. I may pick up some tools. I am lacking. Devin and Jared always make fun of me because I don't have enough, so maybe we'll pick something up. I guess we'll have to see later. Are you getting power to the dash? Nice. Nope, no smoke. So we just tried a key on procedure, and I'll let Devin explain what happened.
Sure, so these glow plugs are ran in series. It's a really old way of doing it. They've got like these little things that look almost like heat sinks in between them, and they're like fuses in between each glow plug. So they don't have individual connectors that power them. They're powered in a series. So like in an old string of Christmas lights, if one bulb goes bad, the whole light string will go bad. It's very similar to that. So one of them is starting to smoke, the one that's closest to the ground. So power is getting all the way to that one, and likely that one is bad. I am quoting all 5 glow plugs because we just don't know the history of the car. So we don't know how often people actually waited for the illuminated lamp to go out, which is, you know, letting the glow plugs get to temperature. Because diesels require all of that heat because they run differently than a gasoline engine, so they rely on compression based on the heat from the glow plug. So we have a starting place.
Right, so chronicles of this fucking thing. Last night we got to a point where, number 1, we had 1 oil leak, and number 2, we believed it was possible that it was out of gas. The gauge was near empty, so we figured it could be a possibility. So we just started it. It's an air thing, because we can start it, it revs, it stays alive.
If you hold the pedal, it'll rev up and be very smooth, and it runs great. The cam replacement went well, it's staying in time, the rattling noise is gone from the engine entirely. It is very close to be ready to go to auction. You just need to figure out why it's not holding an idle.
It's a very strange issue. These have some like weird secondary air pump. So we're gonna take a look at a few things and then see what it could possibly be. Right now we're looking up vacuum lines. I know you guys have not heard it run, but it does run.
It runs. This Jimmy Johnson's really good.
We just got a call about some low mile 2010 F-150. And Devin used to work for a Ford dealer, so he knows about these, and allegedly, this is not a good job. So we're gonna go check out the F-150, Jared and I are. We're gonna have Devin put together maybe like a low quote for it, and he has the information for the vacuum stuff, so we'll be right back. All right now, Jared and I are headed over to Geneva Motor Cars. So let's check out the F-150, F1 Shitty.
Known that.
Right, but we have further confirmation.
So, as you guys heard, we just ran it. Don't worry about that. That's just excess stuff from spraying stuff on there. So you were half throttle, you said?
Half throttle, 1500 RPM.
Which means...
It's not a diesel.
Yeah, that's not where it should be. So we've been checking vacuum lines for the past 2 hours at least. Nothing is leaking out of it. So, I mean, what are your thoughts right now?
Air pump seized up, because that's what happens on Subarus, is the air pump gets stuck closed, and then that is only for like startup and emissions, so it makes the start itself difficult, but then it'll run fine. And this could be like a prehistoric version of that, where there's like a valve that is like a main air inlet. Because the lines coming off the vacuum hose are like, this is one of them coming off the air pump, is like a big line, and the other one is also a big line. So it could be that something is stuck closed in there, and or it is stuck midway through its life of like extension and retraction, and it is not allowing the proper airflow through. It sucks that it's an 85 and not a 95 plus that we can just hook a scanner up to, but this is what we do, so just gotta figure it out. I'm actually looking at, I'm actually looking now. I didn't know you could get to a sky
Never break a socket again. Do the 10 round stuff like dope. The Snap-on truck is here. Jared and Devin are in the truck right now. We're about to close up. We got a couple more things that we want to do. We're going to be pulling the blue wagon back inside, taking apart the stuff so we can actually rotate it to see if the engine is seized, because if the engine is seized, then we're in trouble. Yeah, so let's pull that inside and get to it. Most people on their channels probably wouldn't talk about any of the bad side of running a shop or anything that's more of a inconvenience. They just like to highlight pretty much everything that goes well, unless it goes super bad and you can make content out of it. But they miss the parts that are just like annoying and monotonous. And I'm just gonna tell you guys that not everything is always a win. The Mercedes turns on. We've been fighting it for weeks. It doesn't want to idle. We've checked vacuum diagrams, we've checked timing, fuel, spark, we've checked pretty much everything there is to check, and now we're going over it all a second time. It's not always cool cars, glamorous, everything fucking works great. It's not, it just isn't that way. We're continuing to work hard on the Mercedes, and we're really hoping that by the end of this week, it's Thursday already, so we were hoping it was gone 2 weeks ago, and it's still here. So we're hoping it's gone very soon. They're on the Snap-on truck right now, or Devin is getting some of the other tools that he ordered. But we've got other stuff to do. We've got lifts coming in next week we need to prep for. We've got the diesel Mercedes we need to take apart. And sometimes when things go wrong, it pushes everything else. Everything.
The parts for that 550 coming tomorrow.
Yeah, it just pushes everything behind schedule. Not every time I come into the shop, it's a happy day and we just do great and we're winning. Sometimes we lose. And in fact, a lot of the time we lose. It's part of opening a business. And I mean, Jared knows it as well as I do. You don't win with cars every time, and you can't expect to. So we're doing our very best to get some difficult cars done. If you look at master techs from Mercedes and other specialty shops, they'd be charging triple to do what we've been doing. And we've done everything by the book for every car we have.
Factory service manual of every car.
Factory service manuals, yep. So it's just one of those things where it's frustrating, but you just do them. So when Devin gets back inside, we're gonna make a plan and we're gonna see how we're gonna attack tomorrow since it's Friday, and then we're headed to Knoxville. This is how you run a shop. Sometimes things are not nice back to you, even though you're very nice to them. So let's wait for Devin and see what's next. We are about to head out. We just sat here for essentially another hour talking about things that are maybe causing this to not want to idle. And there's only two things at this point that we can really think of right now. And that is ignition timing for the distributor and the air fuel screw, because everything else is exactly the way it should be. We've gone over
all the vacuum lines,
dozens of different diagrams, everything, and everything is right. So it's the only two things left. I know this isn't riveting content, but this is real life content. This is what happens. You deal with this shit. So we're gonna do some more research, figure it out. This is the last thing on this car, is to just get it to idle. We've said this is the last thing a couple times. This is actually the last thing. So
$5 grand, $6 grand worth of work to this. And this is it. This is the only thing preventing it from going back to the customer.
So tomorrow we'll have more of this, whether you like it or not. Diesel Mercedes stuff, we need to make sure that engine turns over. And then if we get to it, if this gets done, 550 stuff. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be nicer tomorrow when we wake up and we have our food. See ya.
Let's just resume. Walk so lightly, strapped I might be, I've been running.